Hello and welcome to the Reboot Hall of Famers Club. In my lifetime, we've had 3 Spider-Mans, 9 Batmans, 6 Supermans, 3 James Bonds, and now we add to the list Harry Potter. Harry Potter, congratulations. Welcome to the club. Huh? You had a stage play? Oh, honey, so did Spider-Man. But we don't talk about that. No, we don't. Well, the membership fee is that all your reboots have to make at least $1 billion at the box office, so don't mess that up or else you're gonna get rebooted again. What's that? Oh, it's gonna be a TV show? Well, Godspeed. Hey, so Harry Potter is being reborn like the Phoenix in Dumbledore's office. HBO announced in 2023 that they are rebooting the iconic cast of Harry Potter characters with a TV show, despite the fact that the last film came out in 2011. And let's do the math. Add the 5, carry the 2, minus the 1, multiply by 5 again. 14 years ago? That means if you had a kid in 2011, your kid would be a freshman in high school? Wow, it's actually been a long time. But not long enough for the fandom. Many people still remember lining up outside of their local Borders bookstore to buy the next installment in the book series.
People here have been here for 2 days.
And though some of the iconic fixtures in the fandom are gone, the memories are still fresh. Like the cookies were at the Borders Cafe. Damn you, Amazon. Damn you. Many of us, chronically online and people who have a life as well, feel like, hey, why are we rebooting this series now? Seems a little early. And you and I, and I'm not speaking French, we know the answer to that question, and so did the OJs in 1973. For the Love of Money. You know the song, money, 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 money. Money. So they've started casting the show. Dumbledore is being played by John Lithgow. Yes, the Cardinal who was interacting with Voldemort himself in the movie Conclave is now playing Dumbledore. Don't think I didn't notice the timing on that. Now, some are upset because John Lithgow is from the land of the free and the home of the brave. The place where football is a sport, where you touch the ball with your hands. Yuck. American. He's American, you guys. He's not British. I believe it was March 6th or 7th where we got confirmation on 2 more of the actors who are in talks to be cast. Janet McTeer may be our next Professor McGonagall, and Paapa Essiedu, our next Professor Snape. Now, if this is not your first time at the book-to-screen adaptation rodeo, please raise your hands. I'm a veteran too. Nice to meet you. If you so much as hire an actor with a different hair color as the character, the fans will get upset. Were you there when blonde Jennifer Lawrence was cast to play brunette Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games movies? Because I was there, and I'm getting war flashbacks. Essiedu does not look like Book Snape, and a box of hair dye is not going to change that.
Then I discovered this, the hair coloring called Just for Men.
And now he looks
just like Snape. Now, I went on the world's foremost expert on all things, otherwise known as Wikipedia, so that I could find the book description of what Snape looked like. He is a thin man with sallow skin, a large hooked nose, and yellow, uneven teeth. He has shoulder-length, greasy black hair which frames his face, and cold black eyes. So what I'm hearing is that you cast an attractive man to play a character that's described as ugly. That's what I'm hearing. Best believe Essiedu is already receiving racist backlash online. Contract isn't even signed, honey. The pen is cold on the desk. He hasn't even picked up the contract to sign it, as far as we know. But to be fair, some of the backlash isn't racism. It is an outpouring of valid concerns about how Snape's race is going to affect the character's storyline, background, the plot. Now, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's backtrack a bit, because in truth, there's a few things going on with this show that are obstacles. Giant elephant-sized obstacles. Elephants that crash through funerals. Have you heard of that story? Yeah, these elephants are nothing to take lightly. J.K. Rowling, the author of the books, doesn't have a great reputation, largely thanks to the anti-trans comments she's been making over the years. She's standing on business, okay? Anti-trans business, but business all the same. J.K. Rowling, she's involved with the reboot, and that means that any actor who joins this show could be asked in the future to make comments on J.K. Rowling's comments. Hey, John Lithgow. Hey, Janet McTeer. Hey, Paapa Essiedu. How's it going? Did you see that tweet J.K. Rowling tweeted the other day? No? Well, let me read it to you. What do you think about it? Thoughts? Warner Brothers, maybe we need to get, a little media training on that. How do we answer that question in a way that is, correct? Also, any actor who does this show is essentially locked into playing this character for the next decade. For the next decade, you have to be compared to the iconic acting performances we got in the original movie series. Being compared to Dame Maggie Smith? Not a decision you take lightly. So yeah, no pressure. I'm sure you're gonna do great. But back to J.K. Rowling. There are those who don't want to support the show because of her anti-trans comments, and if that's how you feel, valid. If it was up to me and I had the power to cancel the show and get HBO to make an original series, children's fantasy for the platform, I would do it. Absolutely. Where's the red button? You want me to push the red button? I'll push that button. That being said, when episode 1 of the show drops, am I going to watch? Absolutely. And if the show is good, will I keep watching? Absolutely. Does that make me part of the problem? Hold that thought. We'll come back to that. Now, the nice thing about reboots is it's an opportunity to look at previous iterations of the story, whether that's the original source material or things that have been made, and kind of try to correct issues that were in those previous iterations. So parts of the book plot that got ignored in the movies because the movie was only 2 hours long, let's revisit those. Let's bring those back. One of the only prominent Asian characters in the books, Cho Chang, her first name is a last name. Cho is a common Korean last name and Chang is a common Chinese last name. So let's go ahead and rename her in the TV show. Chloe Chang? Chloe Chang. Who are you going with to the Yuletide ball, Chloe Chang? I'd love to know. A common practice with reboots or adaptations is to make the cast more ethnically or racially diverse. Depending on the franchise and the perspective of the fan who is watching, the push for diversity may seem sincere or insincere, trying to check a diversity box. As a fan of several franchises, IPs, whatever you want to call it, I'm tired. White characters are race bent into black characters. Those black actors get viciously attacked online. It's a vicious cycle. This is not the circle of life Rafiki was talking about in The Lion King. In a recent example, let's talk about Percy Jackson. If you've never heard of Percy Jackson, it has some similar tropes to Harry Potter. It is about a chosen one in a trio who finds out at the tender age of like 11 or 12 that he is actually super magical and the fate of the world is in his hands. You're gonna need to learn how to use your powers in a sort of school setting, except Percy Jackson is about Greek mythology, so it's not the same, except for a few key parts of the setup. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Anyways, there was 2 movies several years ago, and I guess the second movie didn't do too hot at the box office. Fast forward, Disney Plus is like, hey, we're gonna make a TV show. And they cast the character Annabeth, who is like the Hermione equivalent. They cast a black actress, Leah Jeffries, to play Annabeth. Now, I was excited because I read this series when I was a little kid, and Annabeth, she was my sister from around the way. So I was excited to see my sister from around the way actually look like me for real. That was nice. But she got viciously attacked online. That wasn't nice, especially because she's a child. But the author himself, Rick Riordan, had to make a statement saying, if you have a problem with this casting, take it up with me. You have no one else to blame. Bullying and harassing a child online is inexcusably wrong. As strong as Leah is, the negative comments she has received online are out of line. They need to stop now. Yeah, what Rick said. This wasn't a TV show or movie, but in 2024, the Jamie Lloyd Company announced that they were going to be producing an adaptation of Romeo and Juliet for the London stage. And guess who was playing Romeo? Mr. Zendaya himself, prominent member of the Avengers, Tom Holland. So as a result, the play had a lot of eyes on it, you know, attention-wise. And these eyes, by the way, probably haven't seen a stage play since high school or maybe church, Sunday school. Seen one too many nativity scenes and think that gives them the right to harass a young black actress. But you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm at a 10, let me bring it down to a 2. Anyways. Tom Holland's playing Romeo, who's gonna be Juliet? The streets were asking. Black actress Francesca Amawuda Rivers was announced to play Juliet, and well, this quote from Francesca tells you everything you need to know. There were many days where I didn't know how I was going to get through it. The flurry of abuse was sustained throughout the whole job. I received death threats, hate mail sent to the theater. I didn't feel safe at work. Y'all. Death threats? Y'all didn't even like Romeo and Juliet when you had to read it in school. I know y'all were on Spark Notes reading up on the story. The production company had to release a statement online defending Francesca, although they didn't even mention her by name, but we all know who they was talking about. And they basically condemned the bullying and harassment that Francesca was receiving. And it got so bad, 800 black women and non-binary actors signed a letter of solidarity in support of Francesca. Part of the letter stated, too many times black performers, particularly black actresses, are left to face the storm of online abuse after committing the crime of getting a job on their own. Now, there are those who say, hey, instead of race-bending white characters, why don't they just create original characters who are not white? And you know what? To that I say, I like original characters. But does Hollywood like original characters? Because they're not exactly trying to make blockbuster, big budget things where like the main character is black. They'll have a black side character. Real quick. Yeah. But the star of the show? Hey. Don't think I didn't notice. In other words, originality is on life support, specifically when it comes to big budget TV shows and films. And honestly, for something like Shakespeare that's been done 1,000 times, how are we gonna make the material fresh? Oh, I know, changing the genders and races of the characters. Y'all just wanna watch the same old play? Sorry, Shakespeare, didn't mean to call you old, didn't mean to call your stuff old, but hey, when did you write it? The 16th century? 15th? Whoa, okay. A lot of these franchises were created from stories who were written by white people who wrote about what they knew, and what they knew was other white people. And so the diversity was nowhere to be, you see this paper? White. Nowhere to be found. Plus, in creative industries like film and book publishing, they, and by they, I mean the people with pockets who are financing the creation of these things, they have no problem telling creatives, if you make the main character white, your book or movie is more likely to get made. Sadly, these industries can be risk averse. And having the safety net of an established IP with a built-in fan base makes the studio feel more comfortable adding diversity, because they're more likely to make their money back on Harry Potter even if some of the characters get race bent. But if we're gonna race bend, let's be intentional about it. Let's put some thought into it. Like in the show AMC's Interview with the Vampire, they made the character Louis Dupont du Lac a black man, even though in the book he was the son of a plantation owner and he was of the Caucasian persuasion. After they race bent the character for the TV show, you know what the writers did? They made his blackness a huge part of the plot, his character's journey in the show, and it even added a new color, pun intended, to his relationship with Lestat, who was manipulative and controlling and a white man. Y'all know that gif? I see you using that gif online. That's from Interview with the Vampire. Let's get eyes on the show, because I'm gonna need those actors to win some awards. And in Wicked, they cast Cynthia Erivo, a black woman, to play the witch Elphaba, who is othered and ostracized in her world for the color of her skin. Hello? Wait a minute now. It ain't easy being green, and it's not easy being black either. What if you're black wearing green? Oh, Not intentional. Not intentional. Coincidental. A black woman playing that role actually enhanced that character. And the micro braids, it just really added to it. Now the story takes on a whole new meaning that may not have been obvious to some. Now, the Harry Potter show has not come out yet. Not even a trailer to be found because they've only cast like 1.5 characters because technically McGonagall and Snape are not confirmed. So maybe being black will factor into Snape's characterization in the show. However, part of me doubts that they are really going to do that, and if they're even going to do it well, right? Because they could do it and then it's just, you look at that writer's room list and you go, writer's room looks like this. Or maybe it's not this. Maybe they got Asian people in there, maybe they got South Asian people in there, maybe they got Hispanic people in there, maybe they got Latino people in there. You're gonna need some black writers to help. Exactly. And the races of the other characters around Snape is also going to affect what changes they make to the plot and the character. Oh God. Unfortunately, depending on who's in the writer's room and who's on the creative team, people don't realize that race is not just like an arbitrary thing. That's just like you just happen to be black and it just doesn't affect your life on a daily basis and your job, because it does. Yes, sometimes a character can be, white and they get changed to Hispanic in the adaptation and it didn't change anything about the story and the story is exactly the same and it still makes sense. Yes, that does happen. However, you mean to tell me a dark-skinned black man working in education doesn't get reminded of his race on a maybe daily, monthly? I don't know, quarterly basis? I doubt that. And also, this is a man who was severely bullied as a child, potentially by white characters. And if they're not white, maybe they're just not even black, but still. Hello? Who's in the writer's room? And mind you, this is a world where the purity of your blood, were your parents humans? Muggles? Were your parents wizards? Were you a half-blood prince? Oh, the title of the 5th season. Oh my God. You mean to tell me in a world like that, race is not gonna matter? Right. But then again, you know what? This is a fantasy story. And you know what's fantasy? I don't see color. So maybe his race just won't be addressed for the sake of escapism. Yeah, maybe I don't want to deal with that stuff in fake life when it's everywhere in real life. I can just watch the show, and if there's a situation where Snape being black adds a whole other layer there that's not being addressed, I'm going to take those thoughts, tuck it into bed, and I'm going to suffocate it with a pillow. Can I say that without being demonetized? I'm gonna take those thoughts, tuck it into bed, and I'm gonna give it a bottle of warm milk. My issue is I see both sides. Part of me is like, I literally wrote that in the script. She's no J.K. Rowling in terms of writing talent, I'll tell you that. Part of me is like, let's not race bend just anybody, because people in the fan base get very hostile, and that's not fair to the actors who don't really have the full picture of what they're signing up for, and then how there's only so much the studio or whoever's producing the show can do to defend them and protect them, if at all. Yeah, Star Wars, looking at you. But then another part of me is like, maybe racists should just stay mad. When I was growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, you know what my diversity representation was in fantasy stories? Sebastian from The Little Mermaid, because he was clearly Caribbean and my family's Caribbean. So I was like, he could be a second cousin twice removed. There was also Raven Simone when she was in the Xenon movies, Protozoa. Y'all remember that? Cyborg on Teen Titans, Static Shock. And technically a lot of those are sci-fi. So if this is how we get diversity in big budget children's fantasy TV show / movies, then so be it, right? But at what cost? At what cost? The cost of a Max subscription? But there's other costs too. It's not just money. Damn it. Our potential Severus Snape Essiedu, he's getting to the bag. Except that these bags have poisonous snakes in them, and I'm not just talking about Nagini. I'm pretty much at a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need you to race bend just anybody, because it's not always worth it, or it complicates the plot in a way that the writer's room you've chosen cannot handle, or they're incapable of writing it well. If I have to log onto the internet and see y'all, well, not y'all, but I mean, I don't know you. Who's watching this video? You got a lot of water bottles in your room. Empty. You recycle those, right? Go green, save the planet. When's the last time you made your bed? For God's sakes. I'm just kidding, y'all. Please, I'm in this room talking to myself for likes and views. You think I make my bed? I'm about to get into it after this video. As I was saying, are they gonna cast a black girl to play Hermione? Am I gonna have to watch a young black child get bullied online again? And let's face it, it's probably gonna be Hermione. You were thinking it. I mean, they did that in the stage play. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. What's cursed is racism. That's what's cursed. Yeah. Let's talk about it. You know what? If the show doesn't do well, you know who's gonna get blamed? Well, it's gonna be a list. They're gonna write articles about it. So it's gonna be, you know, bullet point. But on one of those bullet points, they're gonna list the race bending as a reason. I just know it. Call me Raven Baxter because I can see the future. So what's the solution? Where do we go from here besides just not watching the show? I'm gonna watch. Listen. We already established I'm gonna watch. Now, remember when I said before I might be a part of the problem? Is the accountability in the room with us? Hey, sit down, have a seat, drink some butterbeer. You gotta support diverse fantasy TV shows and movies when they do crop up. Because that's how we speak the language of film and TV studios. The language, it's dollars and cents. Sorry, this is Harry Potter. It's pounds and quid and pence. That was a stupid joke. That was off the dome too. I didn't even write that down. That's crazy. If it don't make dollars, then it don't make sense. And it also will get canceled after one season. And I hate to see it. I do. Like, I'm complaining about the lack of originality, but I'm still watching it. Unless the trailer is just heinously bad. And also I'm talking about it, so I'm giving it free press and attention. So Warner Brothers, mission accomplished for you, I guess. You know, and you know what I noticed too? Part of the issue with diverse stories is that the studios who create them don't market them properly, or they don't market them at all. So what does that mean? We gotta keep our ears to the streets. We gotta keep our fingers to the pulse. We gotta put our hands in the fire. We gotta put our toes on the line. We gotta put our foreheads to the grindstone. What? This metaphor got a little out of hand. The writing is, we're still, and it's not even just fantasy shows. Let's watch all the shows. Honestly, you know, sometimes supporting the unoriginal thing means smaller original things can get funded. Haha, wait a minute now. Now, is that true for a movie studio that will shelve and delete things just for a tax write-off? Warner Brothers, Batgirl, Wile E. Coyote. What that coyote do to you? Was it really that bad? You couldn't put it on Max? Huh. Okay, so maybe that doesn't apply to Warner Brothers, but the other studios, yeah, maybe they are like that. That's something to think about. Let me know what you think about race bending characters. Because I think it's more nuanced than just, you know, race bending bad, faithful adaptation good. I don't know why I decided to impersonate a robot or an AI. Maybe I need to be rebooted.